Hello, my family. Today it's just going to be a short video. I am going to, I did in the community where I showed you we're doing some catch-up work today. And that's basically doing some ghee, which I'm working on right now. And I did some molasses, pomegranate molasses. And let's see, what else did I do? I did some chickpeas, which I'm actually going to describe to you. I'll go ahead and show those chickpeas to you. They are really good for a snack. And our store doesn't have any dried chickpeas, so I just ended up with a couple cans. I don't have any dried peas per se. There are two ways you can do this. One, you can use dried chickpeas and then allow them to sit overnight. So this way that the water can absorb into the peas. Another way is using canned. Now, it is suggested on either one of them to take and dry them really well, whether it be on paper towels or whatever. Rinse them off really good. You can let them air dry in a strainer. Make sure there is absolutely no moisture whatsoever on your chickpeas when you go to bake it. Now you can do this in an air fryer or in a 400-degree oven, and that would be 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what it is Celsius, y'all. I don't know Celsius too well. It took me 25 minutes to do mine. But the seasonings, you first start out with at least 2 to 3 tablespoons for 1 can of chickpeas. Now this is per can. I used about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and so that way it coated my chickpeas very, very well after they were completely dried. And then I sprinkled them with some Himalayan sea salt. At that point, I turned around and baked my chickpeas for about 25 minutes. In 10-minute intervals, I stopped and shook my peas so that I could stir them up really good and make even distribution in cooking them or drying them out, basically, to make them crunchy. And then alternating the pan, turning it. And it was as simple as that. Afterwards, while they were still hot, and I used 1 can of chickpeas, so this is per can, I used 1 or a half teaspoon of za'atar seasoning, half teaspoon of harissa seasoning, which is this right here. And then I did a half teaspoon of, let's see, sumac. And that turned out to be the most amazing flavor. And they are highly addicting. I have to make sure I don't eat that whole can in one day. They are really, really good. I never thought in my life to have chickpeas for a snack instead of potato chips. So that was one of the things that I've done today, and so I'm sharing it with you. I will put the recipe in the description box. I got the recipe from the Mediterranean dish. That lady is amazing. And I told y'all I don't do the American way of Mediterranean. I actually do the authentic way out in Jerusalem, Spain, Greece, Italy, in those areas out there where they truly know what Mediterranean is. Here, they don't really know that much about it. So this was a healthy snack, something I truly needed. Now I want to show you something that hubby and I came across. Let me get my butter started here, show you where I'm at. Oops, sorry y'all. See that pot? That's full of butter. That's fixing to be ghee. Okay, so hubby and I had to go to Walmart right quick because unfortunately we needed tomatoes. I am having baked flounder for supper tonight, and we are having the Mediterranean style cannellini beans and caprese salad. Now, I currently don't have basil leaves, so that means I would have to be required to go get fresh basil. Let me get rid of these. Be right back. Okay, so fresh basil. We usually can find it in the little packs, and I think they're like $1.98 for the small packs. The only sad thing about it is they're almost half gone before we can even purchase them. So we found them just slightly bigger. Now, the content inside, and they no longer have the smaller ones, so now they enlarged it slightly, and they're $3.98. We both looked at that and thought, what? And this is what you get. About that much. But we didn't buy that. This is from another source. We looked at the ones that were live, basically, not prepackaged, not pre-cut. These were actually root based. They were $2.98. Now, normally I have a hard time. Hold on just a minute, y'all. Go ahead and turn this off. Normally, I had a hard time growing these. And I don't know if it's maybe something I did or whatever. We happen to have some bigger pots that my husband planted hyanthus for the honeybees. So he told me, go out there and get those. We did. We got some of our garden soil. I added some perlite, vermiculite, and worm castings to it. We're going to try it this way. But let me show you what $2.98 gave us versus the pack. It was like this. I had maybe 5 stems of basil in it for $3.98. We paid for $2.98 per plant. Let me show you what we did. That's what we did. That plant right there and that plant right there. Now they were pretty tall, so I trimmed them down, gave them a good haircut. We put them in a good rich soil, a lot bigger pot than what they were in, and the trimmings we pulled off, and this is what I'm going to use to cook with. So, and if they root up, I'll have more plants, but if not, I'm still going to cook with them because that's what I needed in the first place. So I am going to see this time if these will grow in the situation that they are in. When it is sunny, I will put them outside, but currently it's cloudy, rainy, so they'll stay inside. They will not stay in the cool weather. I will be pulling them from the window at night and then putting them on my shelf where it's a little bit warmer through the house. So I'll be taking extra care to keep these plants, but for $2.98, they were pitiful shape, and I will bring you back and tell you how that was. Okay, so the pitiful shape that they were in basically is excessively root bound. And normally when something is that root bound, it will not survive long. You can absolutely not keep those in their container for a very long time whatsoever. So at that point, I'm working at this at the same time, y'all, trying to get our ghee made up, and I'm currently melting this butter. But at that point, I knew I had to do something with these roots because they were tightly wound up around that tiny little pot. So I kind of squeezed the root ends a little bit and try to not break up the roots, but loosen the roots. And then I put them in the bigger pot with the formula I told you, and we're going to see how that works. So basically, for what we did, what we got at the store would have been almost half gone. For $3, okay, let's go round it off. For $4, you get slightly more, like that jar I showed you, of basil to use for cooking, and it was half gone. That's disgusting. And this is why I say I cannot wait until spring. I cannot wait for our own garden, because this is ridiculous. Any of us have to deal with something like this. I will be, because I go through a lot of basil, y'all. I will be doing a lot of plants for fresh basil and for dried basil, because I happen to love that in my Mediterranean food. I use it in my beans. I use it fresh. In our sauce, I use it fresh. In some of our salads, I use it fresh. I use fresh more than I use dried, especially these days. The other thing I can make out of them is fresh pesto. So with the pesto, I can even freeze them in ice cube chunks for a single person, small amount of pasta, even if it's orzo, and I can have pesto pasta. Try to say that 5 times. Anyways, so this is where I have been. Let me show you the chickpeas right quick. Y'all, these things are like, my goodness. The flavor on this is so good. I'm being rude. Sorry about that. Sometimes I forget. But, because I'm with you all, and I feel like I'm with family. So, you are always here with me personally, and I love that. But anyways, that was super cool, and I will definitely be making this again. To find the dried chickpeas is not very easy for me. Again, there seems to be a shortage on large lima beans and chickpeas. Go figure. When I get my hands on them again, you can almost guarantee I will be stocking, because I will look forward to canning chickpeas again. It makes an amazing hummus. Also, the big lima beans make amazing butter beans. Home canned, no preservatives. I got this. Better for my body. These snacks here, no preservatives. I love it. I can have a perfect snack, healthy, and I'm good to go. So, anything else I can think of? Give me 1 minute. Let me get this settled up and we'll be right back. Okay, update. So this is the 2 containers that we now maximize the whole entire trays. I've got both trays filled with seeds. 1, peppers, I told you, and eggplant. That was a definite. We did more San Marzanos, and I did some, let's see, hang on here. Oh, some of the longer day cherry tomatoes, because we go through cherry tomatoes a lot of. I had to do some of those too. There are some tomatoes, however, that I can wait 4 to 6 weeks. These were on the longer version, so I went through all my seeds and started popping them inside as well. In 2 weeks, both that section and this section will be filled with plants. And I'm going to bring you right back so I can tell you how we're going to do that. This would be another update. Now that plant right there is my mini tomato, the mini cherry tomato. It's called a top hat. And if you will see right, well, let me get these leaves apart. You will see that surprising little flower. Let's see if we can get this in focus for you. Come on now. There we go. There's the flowers, and there's a cluster of flowers right there. This was 3 times or 2 times so far clipping of all that lettuce. Now on the ones where the paper towels are, I closed them off because that was arugula. They ended up with spider mites for some reason, so I pulled them completely out, not to contaminate the rest of my plants. So we pulled them, and so this is what we have so far growing. I'm actually quite amazed with this. I'm just going to keep going and see what we get out of it. But this was from my own set of seeds, and those were heirloom. I have yet to be able to see what a top hat really does, so I'm getting to see that now. If this works, y'all, what I will probably end up doing is growing top hats indoors out of the aerial garden or hydroponics, and planting regular tomatoes outside. The lettuce definitely is going outside, but this might be an interesting thing to grow indoors. So that's what I'm doing on a rainy Sunday. It's supposed to rain again tomorrow, unfortunately. It's going to dry up for a couple days, so I'm really hoping that it actually does, because I need to fill up 2.5 beds still, plus the 2 beds up front. we need to get that started because it is almost growing season for us in Mississippi. Also, now the seeds that I'm planting. Basically, I'm doing all our tomatoes indoors. I am starting at about the right time. I do not need any of my tomatoes flowering. I don't want to stunt their growth. So I'm trying to hold off as much as I can, but not too late. I do have eggplant started. We have our peppers started. That's a plus and a definite because it takes about 2 weeks for any of those to even germinate anyways. The tomato varieties that I chose are also longer to grow and sprout as well. So I started those. The rest of them, we're going to be in about 2 more weeks. A lot of our plants, like our lettuce, our squash, those type of items can go directly in the ground as soon as the soil is workable, which means basically when our temps are on our soil about 50 degrees, we can start planting outdoors. These are plants I choose not to grow inside because to me it messes everything up. Transplanting, I don't like to shock my plants as much as possible. So if I'm able to grow them outside, that's exactly what I'm going to do. The same with my rosellis. I will probably be planting those indoors here in a couple weeks, and then those will go outside. But like I said, the plants that I don't have to transplant as often, the better off we are. Because we have to find space for all of these plants until they can go outdoors. That's an issue number one. Issue number two, that's an awful lot of plants to be taken inside and outside when it's time to transition as well. We will have a coffee time coming up about homesteading again. I'm going to go in a little bit more depth, like I had spoken to you before. There was some last night on the live feed. Highly interested, and I get where they're coming from. So I'm going to go in a little bit more depth about this, along with growing and planting your seeds, trying to help as many out as possible. The other thing about the live feed, y'all, I am praying about this right now. I am finding, and I know it comes with the territory, believe me, I do. But there is an awful lot these days, and I'm going to need at least 2 moderators at all live feed. That's the only way this can get done. And the interruption, that the mess that comes in between all of us is hard. So my prayer right now and my thinking is, I don't know if doing a live feed is actually beneficial to all of us. And then the other aspect is, yes, because it gives us a chance one-on-one right then and there to communicate with each other. And if you have questions, I'm able to answer them, or at least to the best of my ability. I don't know everything, and I will never claim to know everything. In some ways, in a lot of ways, I'm still learning myself. So I'm considering what to do with the live feeds right now. The past 2 weeks have been extremely awful, and those are the ones that had gotten me shut down once before, where I had to actually shut down early. So that bothered me. I do not want this happening to our family. So let me think about this, y'all. I will let you know in the community section whether we're going to have another live feed next week or not. The other point is, even in the live feed I had mentioned, and this is a real thing, y'all, I understand if this homestead isn't for everybody. I can understand people leaving. I absolutely do. I don't want anybody sticking around that are not going to benefit from this or enjoy the channel. There's no sense in that. There are channels I leave because I find eventually that they just don't work for me. And I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the ones that are coming to me telling me, Miss Carrie, we keep getting unsubscribed. And believe me, y'all, it's showing. Last week we lost 30 subscribers, which makes no sense. We started out up to 93.89 last night, and we are down 93.73. So it's going down quick again. Check your subscriptions, y'all. Please make sure, the only way to keep me going, and this is an honest thing here, The only way to keep me going is hit that like button after every video. The more likes we have, the more it shows YouTube that we can keep going, and I will be a benefit to stay on then. So please don't forget to hit that like button. I usually do not say anything to any of you all about this, but this is real. It's surreal, and it's really starting to affect how this channel is going to be run. A lot of you won't get your notifications if not the fact that you can't see me and I make a video when you're unsubscribed for no reason whatsoever, or the fact is that nobody's getting notified because the bell isn't hit for one, and there's not enough likes to keep me in the algorithm flowing. I will end up getting lost to much bigger folks out here. So if you love me, keep me, y'all. Today I'm just going to turn around, and like I said, I'm just going to finish doing what I'm doing. I'll start supper here after a while. I got to do my farm work in between raindrops, so we're catching up. We're getting things done, and that's basically our Sunday. But I thought I'd show you those plants and see how things work for you guys as well, and see how you're doing. Let me know. Tell me in the comments below. I will give you the recipe for the chickpea snack for those of you who would like to have something a little healthier. And I'm going to get back to my ghee. I love you. This is Parton's Heritage Homestead. My name is Carrie, and I will get back to you again. I promise.